It's your resident legal diva coming to you with another Diva Talks. The topic this week is implicit bias on Delta Airlines. Recently, a man had a medical emergency on a flight from Houston to Detroit on Delta Airlines. The flight attendants made a call out looking for medical personnel, a doctor, or someone to assist this man in dire need. An African American woman raised her hand and indicated that she was a doctor. The flight attendant looked at her and said, "Oh no, sweetie, put your hand down. We need a doctor or a nurse to help us in this situation." I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of what she said to her. And as the man continued in his medical emergency, another call out came out again, and the doctor again raised her hand, buzzed her overhead intercom, and was then questioned by the flight attendant. "Well, are you really a doctor? What kind of doctor are you? And what are you doing in Detroit?" Okay, as if they don't have, first of all, African American doctors, and secondly, like they don't have African American doctors in Detroit. But be that as it may, a white man then raised his hand and indicated that he was a doctor, and the flight attendant was like, "We don't need you, we have him." So this is how implicit bias plays out. We heard this mentioned in the debate between the presidential hopefuls, Trump and Clinton, and the term implicit bias was mentioned by Hillary Clinton. A lot of people confuse that with racism. So here's the difference. Racism is out and out. I am discriminating against you because you are African American, because you are of some minority, and flat out hatred or dislike for a particular group. Implicit bias is a little bit more latent. It's the stereotypes we all have, because all of us have implicit bias, okay? I'm the first one to admit it. I have implicit bias, especially when it comes to domestic violence cases. I will err on the side of the victim when I need to be more impartial and listen to both sides. And I know this about myself, which is why I go the extra mile in those types of cases to make sure that no biases play out. Other people, a friend of mine who is a fitness instructor, has a bit of a bias towards or against overweight people and is biased more towards fit, healthy types because in her mind, she links being overweight with being unhealthy. But that's still a bias if you end up treating someone differently or giving a benefit towards that person. These are just common examples, but it's something that we all have. It played out in this scenario because the flight attendants had a stereotype in mind of what a doctor looks like: tall, white, male, whatever the case may be. They could not believe that an African American woman could be a doctor, and an African American woman in that part of the country could be a doctor. I also had the experience, just to give another example of what implicit bias is, of when I was a junior prosecutor, just starting out in my career in the felony division, and I had a defense attorney approach me and say, "Hey, can you file these papers for me?" And I looked at him and I said, "I'm not the clerk, I'm the prosecutor." And again, he reiterated his request and was like, "No, file these for me." And I'm like, "No, really, I'm the prosecutor." Meanwhile, I'm in a suit with pearls, the whole professional uniform. I'm on the side of the courtroom where the prosecutor is. I'm working on the prosecutor files. So I'm just kind of like, you already have in your mind what a prosecutor looks like, and I don't fit that mold. So that's an example of implicit bias. The way to get over it: find out what your biases are. I've attached links in my comment section below to the implicit bias test that was designed by Harvard University. Take the test. Even if you swear you absolutely have no bias, take the test. What's the harm? It's only a few minutes. Once you know what your biases are, then you can work towards fixing it. You can expose yourself to the people you may be biased against, because it's very hard to be biased against someone or something you know. Once you know what your triggers are, make sure to slow down and act mindfully, and make sure that you're not acting in a biased manner towards that person. So luckily, the flight attendant finally believed that the doctor truly was a doctor and allowed her to give medical intervention in this situation, which played a role in saving the man's life. But someone could have died as a result of implicit bias. That's something to really think about. This is your resident legal diva signing off. Always welcome to hear your comments in the section below. Until next time, bye.